Hi folks, this is Vicki from patternprincess.com. Today I want to show you how to work the stitches for this beautiful shawl. This is a Northern Lakes shawl, I'm going to call it here. And it's made from 4 skeins, not quite a full 4 skeins of yarn, but it's Merino Wool. It's from the Yarn Collective. And I've used an H size hook with this. And again, it was two skeins of each color, and one was called Moss and the other one is called Surf. And these did come in a yank of yarn, and I was going to be stupid and just crochet right from the yank of yarn, but found out quickly that that will tangle on you. So I had to devise a way to make my yarn into balls. This is how much I have left of the moss. I have just a scant amount left of the blue, so I'm going to use a different color as I'm crocheting today to show you the stitches. So make sure that you take your yank of yarn and put it into a ball first, or you'll end up with problems like I did. It took me well over 3 hours to get the knots out of the yarn, and you almost get to the point where you want to throw it away. So I persevered, and then this was my end result. So I thought that this was really pretty. Just finished it, and this has a nice little picot edging on it, and I'll go through and show you how to do that. Very simple stitches, and I was kind of go through it here to show you how pretty it is. It starts off with the green, then I have the row of blue, and I start to bring that in, and of course then I go back to the green, blue, green. I just think it turned out very pretty. But this is a triangle shaped shawl, and I'm going to show you how to do the stitches. Once you get it going, it is a row 5 through 8 repeat. And the total here, I'm going to look at my little notebook because I haven't written it up yet. I have to look at my notes. It was a total of 62 rows long, and I ended up with a blue on this. So I'm just going to use a cotton yarn today to show you how to work this so you can see it. I'm using a light color instead of a dark one because it may be hard to see the stitches. So I'm going to put my slip stitch into my yarn, get my hook in here, and I just bring a loop through, and there we go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to chain 4, and then we're going to slip stitch back into the first beginning chain. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to slip stitch right back in here. Yarn over, bring it through, and bring it through this. Okay, so then the next stitches we're going to work inside of this. We're going to work inside of this ring. Okay, so with row 1, and I'm going to also crochet over this tail that I have, because when you crochet over the tail, that's going to make it more secure in the first couple stitches for sure anyway. So we're going to chain 3, which does count as a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we're going to yarn over, and we're going to do 6 double crochet inside of the ring. So when we're done, it's going to be a total of 7 double crochet, because that's first 3 chains here count as a double crochet. So we'll put my hook in the hole, yarn over, bring the yarn through, come through 2 loops and 2 loops, and that's 1. So yarn over, whoops, 2. My yarn is pulling. I got caught on the shawl itself. 3. 4. 5. And let's count. Okay, let me count to show you. So this is the beginning. So we have a chain 3, which counts as double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is a total of 7 double crochet. So now we're going to turn it, get my hook back in here, and we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to do 2 single crochet right in that first spot. So here we go, 2 single crochet, 1, 2, okay, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 2, 1, 2, okay. In this, so we're in, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, this is the 4th or the middle, right? Right here is a middle double crochet, or middle, yes, double crochet stitch of our previous row. Inside of here, we're going to work a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, okay? And that's going to become our middle place for the here and the rest of the pattern. So we're going to go single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, okay? Then we're going to single crochet the rest of the way, 1, 2, and then we got this last one here, and then we started with a 2 single crochet here because it expanded it here. So in this one right here, we're also going to do 2 single crochet, 1, 2. So let's count now, and you can see the shape of the triangle is starting to come. So now we have this first chain stitch doesn't count as anything. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This middle here is a chain stitch. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So also what I did on the whole way I worked this pattern, because in some of the dark colors it's hard to see, I actually put a stitch marker in that center chain stitch so that we could tell exactly where that is, so that you didn't alter and come off. So I'm going to get a stitch marker and put that in there. Okay, I got my stitch marker, and we're just going to slip it right in there. Okay, so we have row 2 done. Row 3, we're going to turn it after the end of each row. So row 3 begins with a chain 3. We're going back to double crochet again, which does count as the first double crochet. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet right in back of that first stitch that we did. So right back in that first single crochet, we're going to do a double crochet. So these first 2 that we just worked is going to count as 2 double crochet, okay? And then we're going to skip 1 and do 2 double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, 1, 2. Then we're going to skip 1 and do 2 double crochet right here. It's right up next to that chain space. So here we go. 2 double crochet. 1. Whoopsies. 2. Then in the space where we did our chain in the space before, I'm going to take this out. Okay, we're going to, so leading up to this, we're going to do a double crochet, and then a chain 1 and a double crochet. And then in the very next space, we're going to do 2 double crochets, just like we did on the other side. So whatever we do on one side, we mirror on the other side. And so, and I counted the stitches each row. In the pattern, I do have the stitches counted for you. Skip 1, go to the next one and do 2 double crochet. I do have the stitches counted for you. And believe me, I went through every single time and counted, and all of a sudden I'd be off 1, and then I'd realize I didn't, I skipped over this one, or I didn't start off right after the middle, or I did something. And so I'd have to take a side out and do it. So here's another stitch, and we're going to go into the last one and do 2 double crochet. I'm going to find it here. Kind of hid and went the other way. Hang on. My hook doesn't want to go through there. There it is. Okay, yarn over, Oh, boy, am I struggling here. Here we go. 1, 2. And just for the heck of it, so you can make sure you can see where the middle is here, right by that center, I did the double crochet and the chain 1. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to put this back in here so we know exactly where our center is. So in this row here, let's count. We have 2, 4, 6. 6 double crochet, 1, 2, 4, 6, and then there's 1 here and 1 here. So we have 7 on each side. So it's 7, 7, and a chain 1 space. Do you see that, how I counted that? So right now we're done with row 3. So we're going to move on to row 4. I've turned my work. So I'm going to chain 1, which does not count as anything, and do 2 single crochet in top of the first stitch here. So 1, 2. Okay, then we're going to single crochet in each double crochet stitch up to the middle here till we get to the middle. So that's pretty easy. We can do a single crochet here all the way up to the middle. And this pattern does alternate between rows of double crochet and rows of single crochet. So it makes it pretty easy. And once you get, like I said, once you get past row 8, it's just a repeat of 5 through 8. And the only thing that you're changing is really what color you're working on when you're working on it. Okay, so now we're up to our chain space. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker. And now in that chain space, we're going to work a single crochet right in that space, and a chain 1 and a single crochet. And then we're going to move on and continue on, and we're going to single crochet all the way down. And usually when I was working on this, especially when the shawl got bigger, I would do a few stitches past, and then I would make sure I marked my chain stitch, because my goodness, it can blend in. And maybe it's because I was sitting on the couch and a little bit more dark to it, it got hard to see. And then I would continue on, because that way I didn't lose that spot for sure. Because sometimes it's just hard to tell. And then we'll count these stitches. There we go. And then we got 2 more to do in this very end. 1 and then 2. All right. Oopsies. Okay, so that's how this looks. So now, remember, we don't count that initial chain stitch, so we're going to start here. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 here. There's 1 chain stitch. And I'm going to flip it over, and we're starting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 on each side, 18 single crochet, and a chain 1. That's what we have at this row. Okay, so we're going to be working on row 5. So we're going to do chain 3, which counts as a double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then inside that first stitch again, we're going to do 2 more double crochet. So we're increasing both sides here. We're going to do a nice increase in this row. Okay, and then we're going to do a double crochet in each stitch across till we get to the middle chain space. Almost there. Okay, and I have, see that I have 1 more stitch. So in this row here, when we do, whoops, well, how about that? There we go. When we do our 5 in the center stitch here, I'm going to take this out. So in the center chain space, we're going to do 5 double crochet. when we do that 5 double crochet right here, right in here, right in that space is where we're going to go. It's kind of bulky, and it's going to kind of cover up and push over this stitch here. I already have this double crochet here. Sometimes when I was working this pattern, or when I would be here working, it's very easy to skip this stitch here. So I had to really pay attention. Remember I said I had to sometimes recount and then I had to take it out because I'd be off by 1 stitch. And when I really looked, I realized I would have skipped this stitch right here. That was usually my hang up if I did something wrong. So we're going to do 5 double crochet right in here. 1. Whoop, just keep going right back into the same space. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you see how this kind of covers things up and kind of hides them? There is a stitch right here that we need to do. See, on this side we've done this stitch, but there's a little stitch right in there we have to get to. So that's where I'd usually mess it up because it would go over the top of it. So I just wanted to make sure I gave you that hint. So we're going to double crochet in that stitch and then in each one on the side here. Hang on, my yarn is pulling. And then we'll continue to do up the side here. But this is really starting to take shape nicely, isn't it? So those first couple rows, it kind of makes you wonder, what are we doing? But after you kind of get going like this, you kind of start to realize we're adding a little bit of stitches every single row. There we go. And remember in the last one over here, we had those 3 double crochets. So we're going to do 3, we're going to end right here with 3 double crochets in that last stitch right here. And this yarn is being finicky on me. I should have maybe picked a different yarn to do this tutorial. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we have row 5 done. This is how row 5 is. It's a little bit more solid looking. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now here's our 5 in the middle, right? 12, 13. So there's 13 on this side. Here's the one in the middle. Let's see if we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's 13 on each side and 1 in the middle. And I could probably mark that 1 in the middle to help you see it easier. So we got to look at which stitches are. I think that this is the one in the middle right here, because this should be our 5. Okay, so now we're going to move on to row 6. Okay, for row 6, this is a single crochet row again. So we're going to chain 1, which does not count as anything, and then we're going to do 2 single crochet in that first stitch. Oops, I wanted to do a double crochet for a second. Okay, and then we're going to single crochet in each stitch until we get to that middle double crochet stitch. So I'm going to keep working here until we get to the middle double crochet stitch, and then I'll work that stitch. So I'll meet you right here again, and then we'll work on that. Okay, so I've worked up to my middle double crochet. In that middle double crochet, we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. So you can kind of start to see a pattern happening here, right? So in there, we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. And then we single crochet up the side. But I'm just going to do a couple here, and then I'm going to put my stitch marker in. Okay, so if we look here, see how it's hard to see? You can't really tell where it was, but I did 1, 2, 3. Here's my middle. But it would be very hard to see. It starts to get hard anyways, I think, as you continue along. And you want to make sure that that center is centered, because then you're going to, I usually would count on this side and then count on this side as everything got bigger, just to make sure that these two sides should count the same, and then that middle stitch should always be the same there. So I'm going to continue working up the side with single crochets, ending with 2 single crochet here, and then we will move on to row 7, okay? Okay, we are already moving on to row 7. In this row here, this previous row that we just did for row 6, we should have had 15 single crochet on each side and then the 1 chain space. So we're moving on to row 7, and we're going to go back to double crochet now because we keep switching between single crochet and double crochet. So we're going to chain 3, which does count as a double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet right back into that first stitch, and then we're going to skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochet. So here's 1, oops, 2, and we're going to continue this pattern all the way, and my yarn is tangled here, all the way until the middle chain stitch. So I'll do 1 more here, 1 more set. We're going to skip 1 and then do 2 double crochet. So that'll be our pattern until we get to the middle chain stitch, and then I'll show you how to work that. So I'll meet you at the middle chain stitch, and then we'll work that, okay? Okay, I've crocheted up to the middle. So far I have 16 double crochets, and I've crocheted right up, the stitch ended right with a single crochet. The single crochet stitch is just before the chain stitch, so I'm going to remove my marker. Okay, and now we're going to do a chain 1, okay, and a double crochet right inside of that chain space. If I can get my hook through there. Here we go. And then we're going to chain 1, yarn over, and then got to make sure you're going to go into the right hook stitch here, right? We had our chain space here. So this is our next, the next stitch right here. We're going to do 2 double crochet. Because remember, what you do on one side, you do on the other side. And now we're going to skip 1 and then do 2 double crochet. And I'm going to stop here after I do this and show you. Because then I'm going to go all the way up the edge and do 6, the total of 16 double crochet on this side too. But I'll stop here a second and show you. So this row is pretty easy to see. So we have 2 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and then we have our chain on each side, and then our single crochet in the, I should say, our 1 double crochet in the middle. So I'm going to put my marker there anyway, but that is the middle. So when I get done with this double crochet side here, we will have row 7 complete, and I'll move on to row 8. Remember, our pattern repeats rows 5 through 8. In my shawl, hang tight, in my shawl, this here is actually my row 8, this blue. This is where I put my first color in of the blue. So I'm not going to change it yet today, but this was my first color that I added. And I will have the color changes as I went along in this for you on the pattern, along with the stitch counts and everything else. But this was my first color change. So I'm going to show you, whoopsies, row 8 now. Okay, we're coming up on row 8, our repeat, and here's where I would have changed my first color. So I put my hook back in here, and we're back to single crochet, chain 1, doesn't count as anything. And then we're going to do 2 single crochet back on that first one. 2, whoops. Maybe the next. And then a single crochet in each stitch along until we get to that middle double crochet stitch. So we're going to do a single crochet all the way up the side, including when we get to our chain 1 space. I'll just quickly work this for you here. We're almost there. And this scarf does get bigger and bigger as you work it. So each side, when I got to the last few rows, we had 100 and some stitches, 150 some stitches that I would count on each side. So it does get time consuming to count. And of course, my husband would be trying to talk to me just about the time I would start counting, and it just, you know how it is. So here's my chain space. So I'm going to do a single crochet in there. Now I'm going to remove my stitch marker from that previous row double crochet. In this double crochet, we're going to single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet right back. Oop. Struggling today here. So it happens when your yarn catches. Go right back in there. And then we're going to do a single crochet in that previous row chain space. And then continue up the side with a single crochet, ending with 2 single crochet here. But I am going to make sure that I put my stitch marker in. Okay, and so then I'm going to end over here with a 2 single crochet. Then what I do is I'm going to go back to the row 5 instructions. I repeat row 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you continue to repeat between the double crochet and the single crochet. And eventually you will have a beautiful shawl. And I also have the last row here coming up. And I'll show you how to work this last row on the shawl itself. As I was finishing the shawl, I thought, you know what? I'm going to show you right on the shawl that I'm working. And so you'll be able to see how I did the last row here. It's coming up next. Okay, so we're working on the very last row of this really pretty shawl, and I've done this row a little bit differently, the very last row, where it was single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, so that's pretty easy to work, and it was all the way across. So this very last row, I just want to show you how to quickly work it here. So I've just started, as you can see, this is the actual last row of the shawl I'm working on here that you have pictures of. So in the previous row chain 2 space, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, and then in the previous row single crochet space, just do a single crochet. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then right into this space here, we're going to, right into that single crochet stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch. So we yarn over and just bring it through the loop. That way it creates a little bit less bulk at the bottom there. And then we continue on and we single crochet in the next 2 chain spaces. And then single crochet and the single crochet. I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then go back into that same space, the same single crochet, yarn over, bring it through, and then we're going to bring it right through the loop. That's a slip stitch. And then continue on. Single crochet, and then 1 in the single crochet space. And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And go back and do a slip stitch. And so I'm going to continue working on this pattern here. But I'm going to make this bigger here so you can see. This is my little picot edging on it, and I think that's going to be pretty. And I purposely ended where this was a little bit more open, that open stitch where I have the 2 double crochets together. And I wanted to make sure that I had the contrast in color as well. So I made sure I got to this point. I don't have a whole lot of yarn left. I have more of the green left, but I think it's time to stop because I will not make hardly, I'll make probably this row of the green, or I should say the blue, and I'd maybe make another row of the of a single crochet, but nothing more than that. And I wanted to make sure I didn't have to go out and buy more yarn to finish a shawl. So I'm going to finish this last row and weave in the ends, but and I'll have my shawl finished. So hopefully you'll be working on a shawl and finish your shawl as well, and then show it to me when you finished it. But thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.